what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Chasing Trees podcast with Charlie and Justin. We're on episode 155, and that's our second attempt at recording that intro because for some reason I screwed up and said 151, which actually I feel like I haven't really screwed that stuff up too often, or it's been
I think
a long time.
that legitimately might be the second time we've had to redo the intro.
Yeah. Well, you and I, like, when we do this podcast too, and we'll tell people this full transparency that we don't, like, we edit it obviously because we have to put like commercial and intro and outro and all that stuff, but like we don't edit the content. Like I think there's been maybe a handful of times where we've edited things, but it was just because of like not an overlap, but like a gap in time. Like you and I are recording and then someone comes to my office at school, or if we're in the car, or like something, or like maybe a Wi-Fi issue where something happens where there's a huge gap in dialogue, which is where we'll like edit it. But like you and I don't change. To be honest, I'm trying to think. I don't think we've changed anything ever that we've said or edited anything out, right?
No. The only thing we've ever had to edit out is when we had a buddy drive by and the windows were down.
Oh yeah, and he was screaming at us a little bit. Yeah, that's right. We did.
That
We
was
did
funny.
That one time. But other than that,
was
yeah, we're
funny. But
it was funny.
Yeah.
We just tried to make everything clean as possible, so we edited that out. But yeah, other than that, we're very raw. You know, that's the one thing that you see, the production value is very raw. And I'll be completely honest, I don't think we've needed to edit anything out. And to be fair, Justin and I, and this is for the listeners, Justin and I don't have a media guy or anybody that does this stuff for us. Like
he's talking.
Yeah. This is a 2-man operation that we started 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago to the day. And we just have not really changed the process at all. Like we've upgraded a little bit in terms of like, I don't want to say our skills, but the product has upgraded in terms of like quality, but like I still edit it the same way, do the same things that we did before. I think the only difference is now I use a different editing platform to be able to put like the intro music in and the commercials in and stuff like that. But other than that, everything's the same as it was on day one.
Yeah. You know, I recently listened to like samples from different eras, maybe you want to call it, like from like episode 1 through 10, and then episode 40 through 60, and then 80 through 100. You know, I listened to like 6 or 7 episodes recently, and the progression along the way has been really cool. But yeah, we haven't really changed, like you said. It's kind of a what's the word I want to use here, but it's a testament to one of your mantras that you taught me a long time ago, is trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's kind of like a testament to that, because the process has pretty much stayed the same, and we're getting consistently good results.
Yeah. Yep. I talked to somebody about that the other day. We were talking about in terms of strength programming and progress in the gym. And, you know, there is the fine line. Like I remember we did one episode where we talked about how you have to trust something and do it for a sustained period of time in order to get a good gauge on if it's effective or not. But the other side of the coin there is that you can't continue to do the same thing and expect a different result if you're doing it continuously for too long. So like, for example, if you and I were, you know, doing this and I don't know, maybe this is a poor example. I mean, the gym analogies are always the best because they're the easiest for me to grasp, and I feel like I can convey them well to people. If you're doing something in the gym and you have this workout program that you're following and you're not seeing results from it, but you continue to do the program for months and months and months and months, if not years, then obviously there needs to be a plan of deviation. And like Justin, that's actually a really good talking point, because you and I had some conversations off air about some things. Well, we didn't really have conversations about things. We had conversations about having conversations about things where it's like, hey, let's meet up and talk about some stuff. I I find myself, and I want to know why I do this, because you and I were very adamant from the start, then when we started this podcast 3 years ago, that we wanted to create a platform for us to get better, you and I. And then
Yes.
obviously the listeners get privy to that too. But this was kind of a selfish journey where we created a podcast based on some good conversations that we had. Thought it could be valuable for people, but moreover, thought it could be valuable for us to have some accountability on the behalf of the listeners. Maybe have some guests on that have better idea of success than we do, find the best fit lines between all the successful people and start to connect the dots and create a pathway for ourselves to be successful. So I want to be transparent here, of course, as always, and kind of like say that find out why one of my bad habits is one of my bad habits, because I feel like this is not exclusive to me. This is something that I see in a multitude of people. Why is it that we continue to waste time doing things in a monotonous fashion when there's no tangible or quantitative like value coming from them? So again, gym analogy here. When you go to the gym, you see the same people there for literally years. I mean, the facility that I'm at now, I've been over half a decade at this gym, at this facility, and I see the same people at the same times on the same days for weeks, months, years, and they all don't make any progress. Not all of them. I don't want to say they all. That's certainly not
Right.
but a large constituent of them, if that's even a word, a large contingency of them, are not making discernible progress at all. And it's like that's kind of something that's paralleled throughout life. When you look at things like people just do repetitive patterns and habits and they don't get anything from them. And I'm guilty of that too. And I sit back and I wonder, like, occasionally, like, why do I continue to beat the dead horse if I'm not getting anything from it? So what is it of human nature, do you think? Like, and it could be a couple different things. It could be the inclination to comfort because it's
I was
comfortable
getting
to do
ready
the
to,
same thing. Is that what you think
I
that
was
it is?
literally getting ready to say that. Yeah, exactly. I don't even know if it's comfort, but I think it's a fear of the unknown. So once you get good at something or what you perceive as good at something,
Yeah.
so take the gym, for example. If you start a program 5 years ago and day one, and literally it's day one for you,
Yep.
and you are backward and, you know, quote unquote, bad at it, right? 6 weeks go by and you've asked all the guys around you and all the girls around you that are good at what you're doing or what you want to be good at for help. You get to where you feel like you're comfortable doing this program, you're good at it, and you've got a level of mastery over it. A lot of times, and this is me especially, once I get comfortable, I have a hard time. Not that I don't want to be uncomfortable, I have a fear of the gap between comfortable and uncomfortable. And I think a lot of people have a fear of the gap between comfort and discomfort, even
Okay, so
though they know.
so you think that the gap you're talking about with the comfort and discomfort is the length of time it takes to get comfortable again?
Yes,
So like
yes.
let
So
me use like a reference here. So like I work a job. This is hypothetical. I work a job that I hate, and I
mhm.
find a career that that I know that I would love, and I cannot pursue the career that I love until I quit the job that I hate. But there's going to be a gap of severe financial risk or financial strain for me to make that jump. So when I go from comfortable and eventually get very comfortable in my new job, you're talking about that period of time, whether it's weeks, months, or years, where I could be a colossal failure. Is that the kind of the gap you're talking about?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I can use that reference personally, that exact reference. I did something for years that I honestly enjoyed. I grew out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the opportunity that I have now came up, and I pondered on it for a long time because of that fear of the colossal failure in the middle.
Yeah.
So, and I think, and I think it translates into everything. You know, it's life, podcast, gym, work. I think everybody deals with that to an extent, even if they don't want to, even if
Mm-hmm.
they know they need to change things up, they know they need to make a change. Being okay with that change is the hard part.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, this is something that you can attest to because you've done it before. And I've done it to a degree that whenever there are periods off from the gym, because I have I have this conversation a lot, honestly, where when there's periods away from the gym or from physical fitness or whatever, there's always that gap. You're comfortable not doing anything, but you'd be a lot more comfortable if you were in the gym making progress. But people will say that as trivial as it sounds for you and I, people don't like that discomfort gap where from comfortable, the bridge from comfortable to comfortable. They don't like that bridge where they start back in the gym and they're super, super sore. They're very weak compared to where they used to be. They're not happy with how they look. And now they don't have an excuse because, like, if you don't like the way you look, not training is kind of like a built-in excuse to other people as to why you don't look a certain way. Like, oh well, yeah, I look like crap now. I real skinny and lost all my muscle, or I'm really overweight and I lost all my muscle, but it's because I haven't been training. Versus when people see you in the gym lifting, then all of a sudden that kind of built-in excuse that you think that you had goes out the window. So there's even some mental
Right.
discomfort there too. So you see it all the
Absolutely.
time that happens with people, and I'm sure that that's it. One of the things that I pondered about potentially being at play here is also distractibility, because I feel like humans go on autopilot a lot, whether that's the media, technology, our phones, and again, guilty as charged. But like, I wonder how much of our patterns are just products of habit that we unconsciously do and we don't think about it all. Like I think we've talked about this before. You ever drive somewhere and you do this all the time and it's actually kind of like a creepy phenomena that makes you feel like weird. Do you ever drive somewhere and then have zero recollection of the drive to get there? Like, not that you don't remember it, but like you don't even remember like being conscious during your drive. Like, you don't think about like when you're going on your way home or you're going to work or you're going to a friend's house that you visit frequently. It's such a habitual thing that you don't even think about like, oh, I have to turn here or I have to stop because I see the stop sign. Like, it just happens organically, like you're on autopilot, which is kind of scary when you think about that. Do you ever have that go on where you do something and you don't even like realize you're doing it?
Yes, a lot, because especially with the driving analogy, because of my job, what I do for a
Uh-huh.
living is I have, you know, a, a lot of window time. In the last 4 months, I've put 42,000 miles on my truck.
Wow.
So I have a lot of windshield time. And there's a lot of days where I'm totally rested, I'm totally conscious, but that autopilot where I get 2 or 3 hours from home and I don't remember the journey.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not conscious, just I don't remember the journey because it's just autopilot.
Well, I think that for me, like, I one of the best tips that I've ever had has been, and this is kind of a reoccurring theme where I have a lot of people that I trust that are like mentors to me, I guess, for lack of a better term, even unknowingly, like people that I follow on social media or people that I watch on YouTube that are like high level people. And a lot of them, almost all of them, talk about the importance of being present. And we've spoken about that on the podcast before, is when you're doing something, being very focused on the here and now. Like, I wrote a piece one time called Micromanaging Your Way to Success, or Micromanaging the Path to Success. I forget what it was called. But basically being a micromanager. So there are times, I know, and it's rare, but there are even times when we do this podcast and I feel myself kind of zoning out from time to time, especially because you and I do it at freaking 4 a.m. most days. So it's obviously difficult when you get home late Friday and or in your case early Saturday, and you have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to
Right.
do a podcast. So I feel myself doing that where I'm not always focused on where I need to be or what I need to be doing versus and all it takes is like it literally takes a second to think about where am I? What am I doing? What am I thinking about while I'm doing this? Just to be like present in the moment and actually be engaged in things. And I think that, like, to go back to the gym reference, that can make your workouts a lot better. So if I'm doing, like, talking about the micromanaging piece, if I'm doing a workout and I'm training my legs, I try to not look big picture. I try to focus small picture, like this set. Okay, now I'm not concerned about this set. I'm concerned about this rep. Like I keep like resetting my focal pattern every single time I do a rep. Like, okay, just this rep is most important. Like if I'm squatting, like did I inhale? Is my core tight? Am I driving aggressively? Did I hit depth? Like did I go deep enough? Like I'm only focused rep to rep. And when you, because it's like the analogy of like building the house. Like if you go in with a plan to build the house all at once, it's not going to happen. You have to lay a brick and then lay another brick and then lay another brick. So I try to stack these like daily conscious wins. Like, what am I
Mhm.
conscientious of? What am I self aware of? Like, am I present? Like, when I'm doing this podcast with you right now, am I actively engaged and thinking about it? Or because, like, sometimes not on the podcast necessarily, but just in my daily life, I'm like a very plan and schedule oriented person, as are you. So sometimes that causes me actually to be inefficient because I think ahead.
Yeah.
And I talked about that I began to master that with my training, at least. Like when I'm working with an athlete or whatever, like I'm focused on that person I'm training right now, and they're going to get 100% of my energy. I'm not focused on, man, after this I got to train so and so, and then I got that person after this person, and then I got another one after that, and then I'm not going to get home till 10 at night. And after I get home, gosh, what am I going to have for dinner? I'm not going to be able to stay on my meal plans. I don't have any cooked chicken cooked, and I got to do dishes, and I got to get up next morning. Like it would be very easy for me to fall into that thought pattern, and then now I'm not focused on what I'm supposed to be doing. So I think that
And
focusing on the here and now is a huge piece too.
I was gonna say, and if we're being like transparent here, how often do you find yourself having to recircle back? Because I think there's science in the looking deeper into it. So how often do you find yourself thinking about the next client or the next task and
It depends
have
on
to
what I'm
come
at.
back full circle?
It depends on what I'm doing. I'm pretty good. I would say extremely rare in the gym in terms of training people, because I've gotten really good at that now, because that was the first area of my life that I tried to master in that regard, especially because people were paying for me to train
Right.
them. So I figured there's high accountability on my part. If people are paying me in order to do this, I need to be pretty good at it. Um, and I'm actually, it's kind of like a paradox. I'm going to give the same answer for all other aspects of life, but not a good thing. So very rarely in my other aspects of my life do I refocus myself, but it's not because I'm really good at it. It's like kind of like you don't know what you don't know. Like I will go throughout
Mm-hmm.
my day being distracted or daydreaming or unaware or unpresent, not like in the here and now and conscientious of the present, and not even know it. Like don't even realize that I'm like that. So I kind of have to
Right.
give the same answer, but two completely different feelings. Like one's a good feeling. Yeah, I never have to hit the reset button while I'm training, but then I also have yeah, I never have to hit the reset button when I'm going and doing my daily life things, because I don't even realize that I need to hit the reset button.
Right. And I think a lot of people have that. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of people, especially if they're listening to this podcast, because they're on the same potentially on the same style journeys. You know, you didn't come to listen to a podcast of self improvement and self mastery and not be on that journey or want to be on that journey. So you eventually and inadvertently you're going to end up with some of the same problems, because when you want to get better and you want to be better, you're going to inadvertently add things to your day. like your schedule's going to get more busy. Your time's going to get more critiqued and managed down to the minute, down to the hour. Because, I listened to a podcast not too long ago. I think it was with Steve Harvey, actually. And he says, rich people don't sleep 8 hours.
Yes.
That's a quarter of your life. So once you realize that your life is broke down into minutes, seconds, and hours, you don't waste that time. I have a number on the lock screen of my phone that's 86,400, and I have that on there a lot of times for me, but also for other people that see my phone, right? Because they say, "Why? What does that number mean? What does that mean?" And I can't remember where I seen it to give credit to it, but there's 86,400 seconds in a day. It's your responsibility not to waste them.
Yep.
And that's why I put it on my phone. So whatever I'm doing, because I use my phone so much, we use our phones, as our lifeline usually. And I see it all the time. And it's like a quick reminder. Are you wasting time?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The reminder on the phone thing was powerful and monumental for me. Which kind of leads me to another yeah, gosh, it's like the exact opposite, which is hysterical, unfortunate but hysterical observation that I make with people. And then begin when I criticize people for poor habits, let it be known that I'm like the leader of the charge in the bad habit department. Like I'm doing it as well. So that actually will be a really good place to take a commercial break, because like I'm going to shift gears entirely of bad habits, but it's literally the exact opposite, which is funny. So tell you what, Justin, let's go to a quick commercial break. And then when we come back, what we'll do is I'll talk about this other observation that I have and see how it parallels with the present observation that we're talking about.
Sounds good.
All right, so we'll go to a quick commercial break and we'll talk more about that when we come back.
As listeners of the Chasing Dreams podcast, we know that you demand the highest quality at all times. If you're interested in quality, look no further than Beast Mode Baking. Beast Mode Baking aims to bring the highest quality, creative, and of course delicious baked goods to your home with nationwide shipping. All orders need to be pre-ordered to ensure they're packed fresh and shipped out to you as soon as possible. Beast Mode Baking offers a flat rate of $15 for shipping due to the size and weight of the cookies and doughs. So if you're interested in Beast Mode Baking, please contact CEO Shannon Knorr. That's at SKNORR13 on Instagram, and order your delicious baked goods today, because every time you support them, you're supporting the podcast as well.
And we're back from our commercial break. All right, Justin, prior to the break, we talked about why do humans do things that they always do and continue to get stuck in a rut if they're not making progress with them. So we used the one we used was the gym analogy of continuing to go to the gym, doing the same thing over and over again, and not really being aware of why you're there and putting forth a ton of effort, just kind of going through the proverbial motions and then ultimately yielding no results because of it. So before we went to the break, then I started talking about that I had this epiphany, this aha moment while we're having this discussion. And I feel like there's this very, very ironic opposite that happens with people too. So we talk about people doing the same thing and not getting any results, but continuing to do it. But then have you also noticed, and maybe it's just me because this is, I notice this a lot, but I have a lot of things and traits in my life that do work, and then I don't do them. So it's like I spend time doing the stuff that doesn't work over and over again, but then in paradoxical sense, I do things that work and then I stop doing them. It's like, why do I do that? So the example that you alluded to earlier was like the time thing on the phone where you set an alarm to be like, that was a strategy that I was using for a couple months that worked wonders for me. It was awesome. And then for some reason I stopped doing it, but it was very helpful, very beneficial. Like, why did I stop doing this? And okay, you want to use the gym analogy. Why do people go to the gym and get in really good shape and then have setbacks where they don't go to the gym at all? Like one of our training partners, Jake, he was pretty transparent about this, that he, would come to the gym for couple months at a time, and then he would miss a couple months because of work, and then he would come a couple months, and then he would miss a couple months because of work, and he would make a lot of progress during all those months that he was there, but then you kind of invalidate it or void it all out once you take a couple months off, because then your starting point when you return is exactly where it was. So like,
I wish I had the answer to that, because I don't know, because I'm one of those, especially right now, so I don't know the answer.
Yeah, and it supersedes the gym. Obviously, that's the frame of reference for you and I, that we share a commonality, and it's easy to portray to other people. But like, it's everything. Like, why do I do things throughout my life or find strategies that work, and then do them for an extended period of time and then get away from them? Like, I just wish that I knew why that is, because it, like, when you map out the conversation that you and I have had so far in this podcast today, it ends up looking almost exclusively like, basically, to summarize, we as humans do things that don't work for too long, and the things that do work, we stop doing.
Right.
It's like, talk about self-sabotaging. Like, holy cow, how does that work, and why do we do that?
And honestly, I don't know, because I could take me, and we could look at my whole journey, and that is a commonality in my journey. So when I first started losing weight, I had a set of parameters that were working, and then I lost a bunch of weight, and I started doing some new stuff that kind of worked. And then I started doing some new stuff that I enjoyed a lot, but the working part of it went away.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting the results that I was doing the basic stuff. Right. But now, so then fast forward to now, where it's a moment where I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. And my mind, I know exactly, without a doubt, what worked.
Yep.
And what will work again.
Irrefutable.
No
evidence.
Doubt. Irrefutable evidence. I guarantee I know the science. I know why it worked, and I know how it'll work. But my mind keeps telling me I need to go do the other thing.
Do you think that part of it could be?
More.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I had this conversation just the other day, and it fits perfectly here as a reference point. You know what works, and like you said, irrefutable, 100% guaranteed. I know what I can do to get back to where I was. This is what I have to do. I've done it before. I can do it again. I've done it multiple times. I can do it again. This is it. Do you think that part of that, what keeps you from doing that, is also the fact that it is such a guarantee, so it's always there when you need it? So this sounds weird, but I typically don't train shoulders. Like, that's one of the body parts that I don't train. I do a lot of like mobility drills and a lot of like health stuff for my shoulder health, in terms of like range of motion and mobility, but I usually don't strength train them for muscle building purposes. And the reason is because, number one, they get pretty active whenever I do any type of upper body movement. My shoulders like work a lot, so I tend to be pretty shoulder dominant. And we recently started training shoulders consistently, where we're doing them every week, once or even twice. We've done a couple of days or a couple of weeks the past few months where we've done shoulders twice a week. And I have a picture, Justin, and I'll send it to you, of a difference in just my shoulders over the past couple months of us doing this. So like my neck region, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you I've probably added 3 inches to my neck, and my traps have gotten probably 3 inches taller just in the short few months of us training shoulders consistently. And my training partners, I showed them the picture, and they thought it was hilarious, like the crazy difference. And they said, like, wow, that's nuts. Like, and I told him, I said, yeah, this is why I don't ever train shoulders consistently, is because I told you guys once, because we started training shoulders and we said we're going to be more dedicated to shoulder training, because even though mine don't need that, theirs did, because they don't have like a hyper responsive body part, or their hyper responsive body part isn't their shoulders like mine is. So it would be like me training with someone who has really good hamstrings and them not training hamstrings. Well, now, unfortunately, I need it, but I don't get to do it because my training partner doesn't want to do it. So I told them that we can train shoulders a lot more consistently because it'd benefit them and it would benefit me too. But I told them, I said, after a couple months, guys, my shoulders are going to blow up and it's going to be crazy. And they're like, really? And I said, yeah, just watch. So anyway, I did that. My shoulders got real big. My neck got much bigger. And I'll show you the evidence to prove it. It's actually kind of like crazy. And then I told them after I showed them that picture, I said, yeah, I said, this is part of the reason why I think I don't train shoulders all the time is because I know that I can get them to blow right up in a couple months. So like, if I don't have to train something and I can make it get back to the biggest it's been, and I can do that within like a 5-week, 6-week, 7-week period, why bother training shoulders so hard and consistently? Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
like,
exactly.
You think the fact that you know what works and there's like that little voice in your head that says, like the proverbial like diet starts Monday. How we always say that with people because everyone says, "Oh, I'm starting my diet on Monday. I'm doing this on Monday, or I'll work harder at something on Monday." Do you think that like the proverbial diet starts Monday is because like you know that you can flip the switch?
I don't know. That is a quite answer I don't have because I'm not sure of that. I've been trying to figure that out. That's one that it's been on my like radar to what is the holdup? What is the why? What is the why for the delay?
Yes.
Because I am that is the exact rut that I'm in right now and I think it is. I honestly do think it is. Like I know what works. I know I can do it. And it's just a matter of I have to put my head to it and ignore the what I want to do and do what I have to do.
Yeah. Nice.
Because what I want to do is be in the gym and moving heavy weight because that's what I enjoy.
Yep.
But and I enjoy the other part. That's the weirdest part because once I get into it, I enjoy the others too. I enjoy cardio. I enjoy walking and running and hiking and stuff. So it is so odd, but I really love the gym aspect, like moving heavy weights. Why I put a freaking almost $5,000 worth of gym equipment in my basement, like because I enjoy it.
Yeah,
but then I don't use it.
Well,
so
it could be, just to go back to what we talked about earlier, could be the discomfort gap.
Yeah.
Like that gap of discomfort where this is going to really suck for a period of time, but I just got to make do while I can. And, like I'm comfortable now and I will be comfortable when I get back to where I want to be. I just have to be okay with it sucking while I'm crossing the bridge.
Right. Yeah, I got to embrace the suck.
Yeah, for sure. That is 100% it. So I like episodes that you and I do like this, specifically because of the fact that it allows you and I to kind of like give insight to us.
Yeah.
So we can show the listeners, hey guys, like this is where Justin and I are at. This is what we do. We don't just preach about the good. We try to display, at least I do, and I know you do as well, try to display the bad.
Absolutely. I almost want to showcase the bad because there was so much good for so long that all we did was talk about the good. And at this point, it's like I have bad. In this journey, I have bad right now. Why not talk about it? Let's talk about it. Let's document it. Let's put it out there. So somebody else that has the bad and had good or have never had good and think that they never can have good and is defeated has something to sink their teeth in, and maybe that'll help them jumpstart theirs. Because honestly, if I can help somebody jumpstart their journey and they get 10 miles ahead of me, awesome.
Yep.
Because that gives like validation to my journey.
That's actually a very good thing that I've heard people say is what like talking about coaching and the sign of a good coach, like especially like, going back to the gym, like a bodybuilding coach who gets people ready for shows like I do. The sign of a good coach is someone who can make his athletes better than him.
Right.
So if you're able to, do that for people, then gosh, it's undeniably beneficial. So I think that, like, to give some actionable steps and some takeaways, first and foremost, I think for people, because I will give us credit here. I feel like you and I showed a lot of self-awareness with this. Like showing, hey, we're good at this, we're bad at this. This is what we do consistently that we need to stop doing because it's a waste of time. These are the things that we need to do consistently because it's been shown that it works. So we need to just get back to it or whatever. Maybe, and you don't have to itemize all the things in your life that you're doing, because I think that categorization and like breaking things down and seeing what I need to get rid of, what I need to focus on more, like the whole like checklist through life, that's going to become very clear and won't really take much thinking once your awareness picks up. So like being present in what you're doing and thinking about what you're doing more acutely, you'll find that you I guess you'll find that you will be able to identify those things and able to sort out your life so much clearer if you are conscientious about what you're doing, because you'll find yourself saying, gosh, I'm really conscious about what I'm doing. I'm really focusing on this. This doesn't seem like something I should be doing. It's kind of a waste of time. You know what I mean? So maybe that could be the actionable step or the takeaway from this episode is just focus on what you're doing day to day and see if it's worth it, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah. Is it lining up with the plan?
Absolutely. 100%.
And if it's not, what are you going to do to fix it? I was going to say, and if it's not, what do you do to fix it?
Yeah, 100%. If it's not, what do you need to do to fix it? Because you can't really create that game plan on what to fix or on how to fix it unless you know what to fix first. So sometimes we put the horse behind the carriage before the horse, or whatever that saying is.
Right.
All right. So with that, we have come to the end of another episode of the Chasing Dreams podcast with Charlie and Justin. This has been episode 155. As always, we appreciate your listenership and we look forward to hearing back from you guys next week.
Unbreakable, unstoppable, I'm pushed to the edge and